sending out data. Let's see if Twitch is getting it. And I'm on my phone. Aha, my phone now sees that I'm streaming. That's all good. Ooh, I have these stats too that I could look at. And hey, J. Beck Fox, welcome to the stream. Woot indeed. I'm not even advertising these streams. I'm just sort of saying I want to program something, and then you guys are showing up. So awesome. Well, thank you. Welcome. I'm glad that Twitch successfully shows that I have 0 viewers and yet you're here. So thank you. You got, oh, well then you must be one of my followers. So thank you very much for that. Yeah, like previously what I would do is I would send out something like a Twitter announcement like an hour before. I would make a big, like advertise it online. Nice, yes. And then that would like bring people in. I would go onto all the Slack channels that I'm on and tell them to come and watch me. And now I'm just like, I want to program. Let's just do this. And talking about this and what we're doing, so this is going to be like part 3. So like the third part of creating this Twitter vacuum, which always confuses everybody apparently with the name. It is not a vacuum cleaner controlled by Twitter, although that would be hilarious. Today we are working on, let me see, a sort of back-end service. We're going to get the first 2 parts. So there are either videos here on Twitch where you can look at the old ones, or let me find, if I go to my YouTube channel, I have the archives there. So let's go to my channel. And I have a live stream creating a Twitter vacuum, and then followed by live stream part 2, creating a Twitter vacuum. So I will put this link into the chat. So that way you can go and watch those first two parts. However, I can tell you that during those, I was attempting to just like vanilla JavaScript with node.js connect to the Twitter API, and after thinking about it a little bit, I have decided that that is not the best way to go because Twitter API does not make it easy to just do it on your own. I do have a ton of keys from Twitter, but I still need to make, to basically by hand do the OAuth 1 connections. I was looking at the source code through some libraries, get the bearer tokens back, and then I can use that. And it's just, it feels like a lot of work for something that I can do with these other libraries. It was a lot of fun to try to implement, but I'm not willing to spend too much more time doing that. Maybe some future challenge video I can do that, but this one actually I'm trying to do something. So let's go ahead and find. Let's see, what am I doing here? So the library that I'm going to use. Let me see if I can pull this up. I'm going to be using a library called Twit. I searched for it on GitHub, and so let's see, Twitter API, and then I'm going to filter by JavaScript and the most stars. And I think this one has 3,000 plus stars. It does claim, here it is, it does claim that it can use the streaming API, but that is going to be removed in June, so next month. So I'm not going to go ahead and bother to do that. Instead, I'm going to use the standard REST API. So I've already gone ahead and npm installed this. And we're just going to be basically doing this first part. We're not going to be posting because this bot isn't really going to think about posting tweets, but rather it's going to receive, sort of like search for them and just store them into a database. Now, I'm not really going to do anything as simple as just get all of the tweets about a hashtag. What I'm thinking of doing is saving all of these together so that I can do statistical analysis, otherwise known as machine learning. Rather, I'm going to learn how to do machine learning and use this data. So the machine learning that I want to do, I'm thinking of doing something like predicting what front-end frameworks are big. So if I give it like the hashtag of front-end frameworks, or maybe like something like React or Vue or Angular, if we can determine which one is going to like rise up to the top before it really gets to the top, then maybe we can like be ahead of the curve and learn and start learning those before all like everybody else. And there's all sorts of things that I eventually want to do. I figured that would be a first toy program to work on. And who knows, maybe that would actually be something super useful. So first problem is I want to just go ahead and get this all set up so that I can begin storing these into a database. I've also gone ahead, because I didn't feel this really part of this thing, I have a Docker PS, a database up and running inside of Docker. It's just Mongo, and I'm just going to be throwing things into there. And I want to make sure, oh, what is it? It's RoboMongo, I think. I had Mongo something. Maybe. Okay, apparently. Oh, you know what? I remember what it is. I just downloaded the thing into my downloads and just double clicked on it to get it going. So here, connect in. I'm going to drop that database. There we go, empty database. So I'll show this window once we actually get over to that and we start doing that entire thing ourselves. All right, so until then, let's go ahead and get started here. So we need twit equals require twit. I'm actually going to put this, not you, I want you to move over here to the right. I want code. Ridari, how long have I been coding? Just today? Like for this stream, it's been about 8 minutes. Or is it this project? It's been, I don't know, a couple hours that I've been working on this project. No, or like just in general, like me, how long have I been coding in years? Let's see. I was a systems administrator starting in 2006. And I did, so that's when I learned C. That's when I learned a little bit of Python and a lot of shell scripting. So I've done programming, automation and programming since, I guess, 12 years. Sort of harder core programming only for about 3 years or so. Yeah, I would say that's a good explanation. Okay, so using library, we're going to start this over. So we're going to start with const twit equals require. I hope that answered your question adequately. Twit. Let's then go ahead and create this new object. I'm not sure how much I like that t. So const t equals new twit. And here's where we're going to pass it in our secret stuff. So I actually have all of this already set up in a .env file, which reminds me I need to bring in that .env file. So I am going to look in my app.js. Here's this configure that we used in the previous streams, and I'm going to use that up here. So now I have access to all these. So the first thing that I want is consumer key, and this is process.env dot what did I call it? Okay, I am going to open up a new version of a terminal, bring it over to my secret window, what is .env? .env. There it goes. So now I can see it over here. You guys should not be able to see that, hopefully. And I can do this. Okay, so I have go away. So consumer key, consumer secret. This is just plain old. Yeah, it's just this, but capitalized. Then I have access token. Which is this one. And finally, access to, oh no, this is access token secret. What did I, is this just, oh, it's just access token, that's what it is. Okay, so that will give me everything. How long is my timeout? So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Timeout in milliseconds. They have, well, so this is going to be like, no, there's no app, there's no front end that's going to connect to this. So if I say 1 second times 60 for 1 minute times maybe 5 for 5 minutes, I think there's something like 30 minutes for a full timeout with HTTPS or HTTP. Okay, so we got that. Now we should just be able to do a plain old get. So T, I don't like the fact that this is, I'm just gonna call that Twitter. Twitter.get, it's gonna be a search, tweets, and then it takes an object with the query itself. So maybe I'll do this, const query equals and q. Okay, so if I'm going to look at, let's say, React, I've been using React a lot recently, so that will be hashtag React.js. Do we have a hashtag search? So React. That's okay, so that's definitely not what I want. Maybe it's React.js. Is it still searching, or that can't be no React.js? Okay, here we go. Okay, these are looking a lot more JavaScript programming. So React.js. So I'm searching for React.js. I'm not going to search time. I believe it starts from the most recent, goes back, and it's just going to get like a combination of like the last 100 or relevant. It's sort of like how Twitter sometimes doesn't make things, doesn't have things like be really in time. They just sort of choose what you want, what they think you want. So we can do since this time, and I might do that later, and count 100. I did look up in their in here, and they said that you cannot do anything over 100 tweets. I also noticed that in here they do allow us to use promises, so I don't need to use a callback here. So I'm going to put in the query, and then we have .then. So in here we have to decide what we want to get. So let's just console.log whatever's coming back into here, and we'll do a catch. This takes an error, and we'll just say console.error error getting tweets, and pass an error for printing purposes. And okay, so here's where you got that. Let's go ahead and let's try it out. So we have node using the library. Fatil1, greetings, hello. Just tuning in. Can I update me on what we're doing here? Awesome, yes. We have just started here, so I'm creating a Twitter sort of. It's not really a bot, but it's an application that's going to look at tweets for certain hashtags, and we're going to store them into a database for perusing through later. We just want to be able to get snapshots of where tweets are at certain times. In previous streams/videos, I attempted to just do everything plain, not using a library, and that didn't work out too well for me. So this time I'm using a library that actually does all the OAuth stuff for me behind the scenes, so I don't have to continue trying to implement all that myself. So with that, let's go ahead. We'll get this. And let's see what we got here. A lot of stuff. Oh, look at this. Here's search metadata, completed, max ID string, the next results, so where to go to get like the next group of them. I don't know if that's max ID, so I think that's going backwards in time. If I want to get these same ones again, what my query was, and how many I got back. Oh, and there's a since ID string. So I think if I put them in since ID, then it will start where I was here and then get only the new ones. So as I'm getting like new things, I can make sure I don't get repeats. And here are all my 100 tweets. So it looks like it's inside of data and then statuses, and then that will be the array of these. Okay, perfect. So let's. All right, so we have in here, what I'm thinking is we'll get our results, and then I'm just going to return results.data.statuses. So that way our next dot then can now actually just deal with the array itself. So let's talk about what we really want to do with this data. My personal idea is I want to get like, I'm gonna eventually going to do this like whatever machine learning, which I haven't actually learned machine learning yet, but I've been told that starting with like getting a good source of data is really important. So I want to do this first so that I have all this data sitting here for me once I actually start getting through that. So I want to get a sort of like snapshots of these tweets. and then snapshots again over time. So for example, if a tweet gets thumbs ups, like the hearts on it, over time, I want to see that going up and up and up and up, and then eventually stopping. Because then we might be able to say, oh, React suddenly is getting like 500 retweets, like all of these different tweets about React are getting all these retweets. And that corresponds with like your releases or giant company announcement, or something else like that. And if I only just get all the tweets at the end, it only shows me after everything. But if I get snapshots in time, I can see it going up over time. So I want to take all 100 of these results, make sure that they're not the same as each other, then put them, I guess, so if they're already in the database, put it into the database. So let's actually like write this down. So I'm gonna say like, maybe we'll have a function that just sort of deals with tweets. And this is going to take in an array of the tweets. All right, so what's the first thing that we're going to want to do here? We're going to want to, for every tweet, so for every tweet, we are going to want to check to see, is it in the database? If it is in the database, well, we still want to add it in. Wouldn't something like handle tweets be better? Yeah, that's probably. You're exactly right. And also, Userman2, welcome to the stream. I think you're exactly right there. Handle tweets is better. Did I just call this handle? I did. Handle tweets. What is it they say? There's two difficult things in programming, and one of them is naming things. And the other thing is time, or cache invalidation, which is also just time. By the way, don't mind my casing. I'm a Python guy. And heck, welcome back. Naming things is the worst. I know, it's terrible. Especially now that like there's no reason we can't just put huge names in everything. Okay, so we have handle tweets. For every tweet, is it in the database? Well, I'm actually not sure that that's the best thing to do. I want to really store it in the database. So put it in the database. Once we have it in the database, I want to then add that tweet, like that specific tweet, into a queue, but only if it's not already in the queue. So my entire idea here is that we get a tweet, and then I want to check up on that tweet over time. Is that tweet like going up or down? And after X number of hours, days, weeks, if it's no longer moving, like if there's not any retweets or likes happening to it, I can stop paying attention to it. So for every tweet, put it in a database. Then I want to, is it already being tracked, basically? I guess I can put it in a queue to be tracked. How to avoid naming, use lambda anonymous functions everywhere. I want to say, isn't there, or just use like J. Every time I look at the language J, I kind of die inside because I can't understand what the heck is going on, even in a normal for loop. Okay, so put it into a database. I want to like add it to a queue. Maybe I want to also set if it's new. So if I've already been tracking this, so maybe before I put it into the database, I want to also know, has this tweet is this tweet already in a database? Are we currently tracking this tweet? So if we are, or just use underscore for everything, that works too. Nothing, we just more. Yeah. I'm gonna create. Someday I'll create like an April 1st program which has nothing but underscores and just different numbers for every single one. That would be terrible. Underscores and dots. Are we currently tracking this tweet? If we are, so if yes, then I want to add some metadata to this tweet about how many days, like how long it's been since we tracked it, or like the differences. Because what I want to be able to do is say, it'll be easier. Like my problem is I'm using up all of my USB ports, so I can't use my Wacom tablet to draw on it. Sort of like figure out in a visual sense what I've going on. I have a whiteboard over there, but no camera to be able to put at it because that camera is over here. And no temporary whiteboard here that I can use, like you can point at the page. So I want to basically take a tweet, add some metadata to it, say like, hey, is this the first time that we've seen this? How many times have we seen this tweet? And has it changed in X number of times? And I'm thinking maybe after initially 3 days, if I haven't seen any movement from that tweet, we're good. We no longer need to track it. And we can have an entire queue system that we add the tweets to, and as soon as we get it back into the database, we put it back into the queue to check again. So we get our 100 tweets. We're also going to want to like just continue doing these get 100 tweets, every X number of minutes too. So this is going to like add into it. We're going to get pretty crazy, but we'll create a queuing system so we don't overwhelm the API. So for every single tweet, are we currently tracking this tweet? If we are currently tracking it, maybe that doesn't matter as much, because I can put a data. So for every tweet, we can just say add metadata, add the current date to it. So like, when did we get this one? Do we actually get that information? Oh, we can't tell because we're just getting this object right here. So add the current date. Well, so the library should rate limit itself. Most do. I didn't actually pay attention to this to see if it does rate limit itself. Like, so if I just try to push things through it, it will slow itself down for me. Or will it just drop things down? If I do a search for a rate, oh, this is the streaming. Oh, get, okay. There's only 2. Note that application only auth will not work. However, the endpoints available can have a higher rate limit. So it doesn't really tell me anything about rate limits and whether or not this library will actually help me with rate limits. I'm going to guess that it doesn't. Mainly because if it doesn't, that could cause problems for me. Probably uses a queue if it has rate limiting. Yeah, but it doesn't say anything in the documentation if it does or does not. It just says, there's rate limiting on the API. Good luck. I mean, I guess I could look through their source code and like figure it out. But it's also fairly easy for me to implement my own queue and do my own rate limiting, like just hit out every X seconds, which I've calculated out. An application on Twitter has 450 hits per 15 minutes, I think. Is that right? I think that's what it said. So I can go every 2 seconds, send one request every 2 seconds, and reach right at the end of that 15 minutes. I'll be perfect. I just realized there's green on this drink, so I wonder if it's sort of clashing with the green screen behind me. Okay, so I have add in a current date, put it into the database. I want to know if it has changed. Or maybe like I will watch it for X number of days. And if after it hasn't been changed, rate limiting really isn't hard. When I added it to a Twitch bot, I made all. Yeah, like rate limiting from the library side isn't that hard. From the API side is a different story, but yeah, it's not that hard for me to handle. I'll just have a set timeout. Okay, so add in the current tweet, put into the database. I don't really know what other data I need right now, but I can add that in later. Then we want to decide, should we add this into the queue? So if it's changed recently, then I figure that, okay, so that's what it is put in the current date. And I also want to add the delta between previous tweet and this one. I guess it's going to be true or false. So get the previous tweet from database. And then from that, we want to see, okay, has this tweet changed? If it has, if yes, then add in like set add true to changed recently to tweet. If no, add false to changed recently to tweet. So that way, when we put this into the database, we can now say if tweet is less than 3 days old, or so if it's less than 3 days old, we want to put it in. If it's older than 3 days, but it's still changing. So if it's less than 3 days old, or if tweet has changed, then add tweet to get queue. Otherwise, it's no longer going to be received, and we're not going to get new versions of it, and we just let it sort of fade away. Now, that's just going to be handle the tweets that we're getting in. Okay, so which really means add the current date, get the previous tweet from the database. Okay. Is JavaScript my main language? These days it has been. So I first started with Bash, learned some C, learned some Python, did some of that. I am learning Rust right now. I'm actually doing early morning streams. So that's actually something I'll be continuing on this upcoming week. Let's see. What was I? Does this logic look right for me? For every single tweet, we're going to add in the current date. We're going to get the previous tweet from the database if it exists. Has this tweet changed at all? So we have to then like look at the previous tweet and determine like, okay, previous to current. If it has, yes, like we mark this into the object. If no, we put that in the object. We then go ahead and put this current tweet into the database. And if the tweet is less than 3 days old, or if the tweet has changed, so then we make the decision, do we put it back into the queue again? And that's only like if it's been 3 days and the tweet is like dead essentially, then we just let it fade away. And we put it into the queue, and then it'll be another thing that goes through, reads the queue, and then does those tweets out. I've tried doing JavaScript for real projects multiple times, never clicked with me. I just always default to Python. Python does make things interesting. I've done Python for systems, like programming, like scripting on servers before. I have not done it for very much like web interfacing. But I do like the language. Okay, so I think this will work. This will just be for these 100 tweets. So let's do this. For every single tweet, we're probably, well, I'm just going to begin with a for. Well, we can just do this as a for loop. So I don't know if I'm going to want to turn this into a, do I want to use, I'm not going to want to kill it, so I don't need like a break or continue. I'm going to run into asynchronous issues with this because get the previous tweet from the database. Yeah, this will be interesting. I could use async await, and then I can do slow loops. That might be the best thing to do. Yeah, I think, well, that might be the best thing to do. Get the previous tweets from the database could come first. So get the previous tweets from the database, and then I can, for every single tweet, and then I'll have like a matching index to work with. And I don't care about speed because this is just going to be working out. So what if I do this? I haven't actually used async await very much, so let's try it. Hey, you're supposed to. There we go. Okay, for every single tweet, I think, what is it? Async in here, and then for let I equals 0, I is less than tweets dot length I plus plus, and this is going to be down here. Okay. So get the previous tweet from the database. Well, we have to actually load in the database stuff. So I'm going to be using Monk. So we already have twit here. const. Just go take a look at monk npm. Okay, so here's go over there. Here's how we're going to set this up. We're going to say, okay, can't you just for let tweet of tweets? I can. I keep on forgetting about the let for. Is it for of or for in? I always forget that, but that's actually a good idea. I haven't used that for very much. So let's do let tweet. Because in this case, I might as well do a for each too, because I might as well just say tweets dot for each. Hey, don't do that for me. For each, and then we'll put in the tweet. Just like that. And so now we can just do this with the tweet. In is the index, of is the values. That's right. I usually do for in for objects, because those are fun to iterate through. Okay, so we're going to go through each of the tweets, but we need to connect to monk, so require monk equals require monk, and we're going to connect to, in this case, it's localhost : 32768 is what I've got for my port. And slash, I'm going to call this hashtags. Oh, front-end frameworks. Front-end frameworks is the name of the database here. And then I just need to do this get here. So say const. This is going to be the React hashtags db equals monk.get React hashtags. Okay. I believe you are correct, userman. Okay, so that gives me that. And now I can just do things like insert or find one, I believe, is also something that I can do, but I don't want to do that. I wonder if I can do like find last or find most recent. But okay, so get the previous tweets from the database. So the first thing we want to do is find all of the previous tweets. So it's going to be React hashtags db dot find, and we're going to look for the Twitter API. I think didn't we see it? It was like the ID string is going to be tweet. Oh man, this is getting in the way. Tweet dot ID string. Is there a way for me? Okay, so I can sort by name one. I really want to sort by maybe the ID and get the latest, but I'm not going to worry about that right now. I'll sort of figure that out later. That's a later problem. Okay, so I want to store this into here. So I want to put in a const tweet, but there's a problem with this. So previous tweets equals await, and then do this. Now, of course, if there's a problem with this, that's going to be an issue. But let's just not worry about it. I could put a try catch around this. That does cause problems with the const and the ability to use blocks. But okay, theoretically, I now have the previous tweets. Then I want to add the current date. So that's just for the current tweet. Do I want to do anything? It's gonna be really hard for me to test this right away because, well, okay, not really. I just have to do a lot of coding and then I can test it. Because previous tweets won't give me anything. I could, I guess, console log this. Previous tweets, I should get absolutely nothing so far, just an empty array, but it shouldn't crash. And I also want to console log the tweet out itself, just to sort of see what we're getting at. And let's see if this handle tweets is really working. Okay, so we're going to do node. Await is only valid in an async function. Am I not in an async function? I'm in an async function. Oh, you need to be an async function. Okay, hold on. Oh. Can I use async with... Am I not able to use async with arrow functions? Oh, that's sad. Okay, so I have to convert this to a normal function. Async tweet, so I put it here. That doesn't cause an error. Let's try this again. All right, so we've got stuff. Oh, oh, right, it's doing all 100 of these. Yay. All right, so here's an empty thing. So it didn't find anything. So it successfully searched the database for absolutely nothing. It is ID string is going into here. So that's cool. Oh, look, here's all these this one has all these different hashtags in it. Yeah. TOB index for May 18th. So we get the full text. All right, this is going to be good. So async tweet, we do that. Okay, add the current date. How do I want to handle this? I can put, what, do we actually get the current date in here already? Created at, that's, do I want to do, so I've got the created at date. I can do 3 days from when it was created or 3 days from when I started looking at it. That's the user. The retweeted status. I believe that if I take this created at, I can get a delta between now and then. Okay, let's do created underscore at. I don't think I have to add in a current date, but I want to test something out here. I was wondering if async and JS just uses set timeout under the hood. No, so async await is actually using promises under the hood. So it's really just doing promise chains for us. It's a syntactic sugar. Okay, so we have the created at. So let's do const. This is like just sort of like I just want to see how long ago some of these were. So I'm going to print out all of the delta times. So the current time equals new date. How about this? Date dot now, like that. And then I'm going to get the time of the tweet. So const it's going to be tweet time equals new date, and we're going to pass in the tweet dot current created at. Okay, and then I want to get that in milliseconds. So console.log. The delta for this is going to be current time. Well, current time is always going to be, so tweet time. I should do tweet time first. So tweet time dot now minus current time. So let's say if we just get a bunch of milliseconds that are positive and kind of what we're looking for. Uh-oh, unhandled promise rejection. This error. Okay, so it didn't like that at all. Log tab. Yeah, I know, I can do that. I only don't do that because I don't want to delete the semicolon. It automatically injects, and that's really lazy of me. I'm willing to type a lot more than right arrow backspace. Okay, so there's a problem here. Probably in here or one of these things. I can do a try catch right in here. So try catch. We'll have an error. Console.error the error. Tweet time.now is not a function. Well, that's our problem. Tweet time equals new date created at. Oh, okay. It's like, let's just go play with what is it? It's REPL.it. Let's go play with JavaScript here and find out how we use date. Okay, so if I have const today, like now, equals date.now. So that should be exactly what I think it is. It's the number of milliseconds since then. And if I do const before equals new date and hand it a string, do we still have created at this string? Okay. Can I now console log before? Okay, so it gives me the full date. So we have that. Do I have access to before dot mdn date? There's date 1 equals date 2. Date 1 minus date 2, expected output 0. Hold on. Oh, that's because they're exactly the same. Wait, can I just do... Can I just do this? Before minus now. Now minus before. And this is the delta in milliseconds. If I understand. Well, is it milliseconds or seconds? I can never remember. Date.now. The number of milliseconds elapsed since January 1st, 1970. So hold on. If we take const time since equals, so it's going to be now minus before. I really want to put this in parentheses. Okay, so that's the number of milliseconds between the two. I can multiply this by 1,000 to make it seconds, times 60 to make it minutes, times 60 to make that hours, times 24 to make that days, I'm going to do this one first, and then I'll console log time since. I don't think I want multiplication. I think I actually want division. I want to divide this by 1,000. I want to, that's now seconds. Now, take that result, divide that by 60, which is minutes, hours, days. 1,400 days. Divided by 12 is months. 116 months. So from 2014 to like now in 2018 is what, four years gives some months. 4 times 12 is I never do math on stream, right? I can just really easy do. 4 times 12 is 48. That seems high for that. I mean, plus some other ones. I wonder if I need to do like lots of parentheses in there to basically say like, okay, I want this in parentheses, this in parentheses, and you in, yeah, you in parentheses. Oh, I'm getting all this screwed up. You go outside. Nope, that's still the same. Oh, okay. So time since. I want not the number of, well, does date have any other math things for me? Well, these are all strings, sources. So it's giving me the difference. Okay, so data now minus start. Well, that, yeah, that's just going to give me 2 different milliseconds. I guess let me try a different date string here. One that's easier to calculate out. So if I set this as let's say yesterday. So that would be Saturday, May, what is today? Today is the 13th, so 12 at 3:44 my time. Oh, but this is like whatever time zone this is. What if I say this is going to be 3:44? That's like 18. 3 plus 12 is 17. This is fine. I'll ignore you, and this will be 2018. I don't want time since in here right now. I just want to do now minus before. So this is the number of milliseconds. And if I want the number of milliseconds in 24 hours, I'm going to have 1,000 is 1 second, times 60 is 1 minute, times 60 is 1 hour, times 24 is 1 full day. So that's a full day, 24 hours. So this is less than a full day. So if I convert the created at into a date, I take now, subtract it, figure out how many 3 days in, and do the subtraction. If it becomes a negative number, it's over 3 days. That's what I'm going to do. So I do not need to add the current date at all. I'm fine. So has this tweet changed? So I want to look at the most recent previous tweet, which we can ensure based upon a sorting algorithm that we hand to Monk and get the most recent one. So has this tweet changed? I wonder if I can find one gets like I think it searches from top to bottom in the list. So I want to get I can get the most recent one by just doing index -1. Has this tweet changed? So I want to look at where are we? Here we go. Created at there's no in reply to truncated ID stream. Here's the user. Retweeted status. So retweeted status is an object is this yeah, so it's the exact so this is text retweet. So this tweet is a retweet of another tweet. Oh, that's interesting. All right, can we find like an original tweet? So this is quoted status. Retweet count 5, favorite count 0. That's what I care about. Now, is this one up here was retweeted, right? Yeah, this was a retweet. Does it have a retweeted count? It does. It has a retweet count and a favorite count. So I think that's all we need to worry about is the retweet count greater than the previous retweet count? Is the favorite count greater than the previous favorited count? Okay, so has this tweet changed? So we really want to get const previous tweet equals previous tweets of previous tweets dot length -1. That'll just be for right now. If well, this also is only if there is one. So I really want to say if previous tweets dot length is greater than 0. Then we can check if it's been changed. Otherwise, we're just going to throw it into the database. Okay, so has this tweet changed? Const previous tweet. I wonder if I can get, well, I know I can definitely get something like that previously. I think I can like do find one and then sort it by reverse. I'm going to do this first, then a refactor. So previous tweet equals previous tweets dot length -1. Okay. Has this tweet changed? So if the current tweet, so if tweet dot, and we can do retweet count. If tweet dot retweet count minus, or rather, if this is just greater, and this looks like an actual number here. If tweet dot retweet count is greater than previous tweet dot retweet count, or if tweet dot favorite count is greater than previous tweet dot favorite count. Okay. Okay, so if it has changed, we want to put some kind of metadata in here. So tweet dot has changed is going to be true. Otherwise, it's going to be false. So tweet dot has changed equals false. Okay, that was just to be able to like determine this metadata that we're adding into it. Then we're going to put the tweet into the database. So we're going to say await monk. Oh, it's not monk. It is React hashtag db dot insert tweet. Okay, so we're going to insert that. We're going to wait for it to come back. If the tweet is less than 3 days old, or if the tweet has changed, add the tweet to the queue. Okay, so if the tweet is less than 3 days old. So here's where it's going to get interesting. We're going to say if the tweet is less than 3 days old. So we have to do a little bit of math here. So current const now equals date.now. And we want to get the current tweet time. So const tweet time equals new date. We're going to pass in tweet dot created at, and that's what it is, right? Created at, yes. Then we want to subtract it. So const 3 days equals, so that's going to be our 1000 milliseconds, seconds, minutes, 1 second, 1 minute, 1 hour, 1 day, 3 days. Okay, so if, which one is the most recent? Now is going to be the most recent. So if we say if now subtracted from tweet time I think for this we can just do const now we never actually checked. Can we just do new date here? And that's currently now, and so now before. Yeah, so that is milliseconds there. Like that. So if now subtracted from the tweet time, this should be a larger number is now. Tweet time is in the past, so it's a lower number. That should give us a positive number. So if that is greater than 3 days, so the sooner to the time ago. So if it was yesterday, that will be, the delta will be smaller than if it was 3 days ago, the delta will be bigger. So if this is greater than 3 days, then we're done and there's no reason to add this to the queue. So we really want to be less than 3 days. If it's less than 3 days, or if the if tweet dot has changed is true, then we want to add the tweet to the queue. So we'll run add tweet to queue, and we'll pass it in the tweet. Now we don't have add tweet to queue, so that will be over here. And for right now, we're going to take in a tweet, and we're just going to console.log the adding tweet to queue and pass in the tweet. So we're not actually going to do anything with this. We just sort of want to see this happen and see this going into the database and putting in like the time. And yeah, because if this gets into the queue, we know that, well, actually, what do we know from this? Like, what does this tell us? It's less than 3 days old, or the cheat and or the tweet has changed. What I really want, I think this one I should just do dot ID string. That way I don't get like the full objects. We can go look that up in the database. So I'm going to give this a shot and see what happens. I've done a lot of code. I have no idea if this code is going to work. Hey, we added all of these tweets to the non-existent queue, but theoretically, if I open up my database, here's my collections, and we have how many? 100 are in here. So perfect. Every single one of them made its way into the database. And let's see what we got here. We have, it did not get a has changed, did it, right? Has changed is not in here. Which is perfect. We kind of don't want one to be in here because none of these should be duplicates. Although who knows, maybe it initially did get a duplicate. Because I could see, like, it would be really tough to see if these are in here, but I could quit this out, do it again, and see if any of them are duplicates. Let's see if we would be able to get that right here. So previous tweet, we'd want to see if these are duplicates. So I want to say no. Okay, so by default, it's not really giving me. I have to do down arrow and then tab to get the auto complete of console log. Okay, so duplicate found in database, and I want to do the tweet dot ID string. So I'm going to kill this. I'm going to run it again. Hey, take a look at this. A whole bunch. I think it got like the same ones, didn't it? Duplicate found in database. So if I grab one of these, nope, okay. I grab one of these, come back over here, and we're gonna say the ID string is equal to this. Here's our two, they're exactly the same. This one, however, has changed false because, and it was only a couple of seconds. Nobody did any retweets or likes in those couple of seconds. We didn't give enough time. But the first one doesn't have the has changed in here. Perfect, exactly what we wanted. Now, how do we make sure that we always sort this by time? So we can get the most recent one. I wonder if I can do a quick Google search for this. So monk get latest. Guess latest inserted object. I should put monk.js. Okay, returns one object. So in capped collections, natural order is the same as insertion order. So do I want to say that I want to sort this by the ID. I want to sort it by the ID in reverse. I can never remember if I want reverse or not. This doesn't have a sort. Okay, what else do we have? Type to search, sort. Nothing in there. All right, hold on. There was a Stack Overflow question where somebody asked the exact same thing I'm looking for, it looks like. Oh, interesting. Natural -1. So that should work, they're saying. Monk works differently from MongoDB, which itself is modeled more like MongoDB shell. To perform something similar using Monk, db.get my collection, find sort natural -1, but I want to find 1. Okay, so this is what I want. I'll do a find 1 sort by this natural -1. So where are we? Previous tweets. So this is now going to be previous tweet equals await find 1. We're going to search for this. And then we have to pass it another object, which has a sort. And this is going to be another object, which is $natural. So $natural -1. That should do it. That should just give us a single 1. I don't have to do this anymore. We have a console log duplicate found in database, tweet ID string, and then I also want to do has changed. I really want to see if this comes up as undefined, then I know well, if they all come up as undefined. Okay. If they all come up as undefined, we're looking at the first one. And if, because a lot of these now are in the database with has changed. So let's try this again. Unhandled promise rejection. Okay, so it really did not like this. So let's put a try catch in here. So try. Catch. We have an error. And then we're just going to console.error getting the previous tweet. All right, let's try this. Ooh, unhandled promise still. So that wasn't where the error was. Was it here? Catch the error. Error inserting tweet. Error. Still unhandled promise rejection. Well, okay. Where else do I do Or else I do one. And why aren't my try catching it? Oh well, now I have a problem with this. Because now all this stuff is in here. And I need previous tweet. Do I need previous tweet? This is just updating. I should be able to throw things in there. Aha, okay. Previous tweets is not defined. Okay. Previous tweet. Where did I put previous tweets? Right here. So if, really I want to say if previous tweet. Duplicate found in database undefined. So they're all undefined. Let's come back into here and do sort natural 1. This is undefined too. Okay, so it didn't sort exactly by what I wanted here. Now, can I say, do I need to just do find? And then do a limit 1? Like that? Okay, so you didn't have any of them now. So you could, that did not work. It did not find them at all. Or maybe my limit was in the incorrect place. It has, yeah, that's in the same level as sort, limit 1. Oh, unless this is not. Okay, here we go. Duplicate found in database undefined. And what I wanted to do was console log the has changed. So I wanted the previous has changed. If I do one like this, now maybe I don't sort by natural. Maybe I sort by, can I just sort by ID? -1. So that's undefined here. And if I just do ID sort that way with 1, you're still undefined. Oh wait, I'm searching at tweet has changed. That's my problem. It's previous tweet that I want to look at. The previous tweet has changed. That was silly. Okay, let's try it again. Now we get duplicate found in database undefined. So that means it's finding the first one. And if I do -1, is this going to get me? Still undefined, so still not finding what I want. Previous tweet has changed. That's what I want to get here. Because we're setting the tweet to it, but then we're putting the tweet into the database. Now we're having tons of these. Let's double check and make sure. Let's say this one, for example. We have so many of these now. And if we take a look at the most recent one, has changed is here. In fact, I bet has changed. Oh wait, has changed. Okay, so all of these ones should have has changed, has changed, has changed. This one does not have a has changed. This one does. What happened here? This one has a has changed. This one also does not. Has changed. Oh, you know what? Was this? Okay. I'm going to drop this database. And we're going to try this again. So the first time through, but the problem really is, are we getting the latest one? Get the most recent. We're going to sort by this ID, reversed, limit 1. Okay, let's try running this again. Wait a second, why did you find duplicates in the database? You should not have. Unless some of these are duplicates, because in the 100 I got were duplicates. Oh, but it found a ton. Did I need to like save this after dropping? So 100 are still in here. Has changed is false. So if we take a look at this one, at the ID string, oh, there's only one of you. Uh-oh. That's not good. So this means, oh, previous tweet is a, I bet it's not what we wanted. Previous tweet, let's take a look. It's an array of one thing. With has changed. But what we really want, okay, so we really would prefer to get this as 0, but I don't think I can actually do that. So previous tweet, await this. Can I do find one? Let's try this again. I want to drop this again. Come back to here. Run it again. Aha, okay. So could not find these in the database. Now if we run this again, we should find them. So now we have all these different things. I'm hoping that none of them should have. Yeah, none of them are going to have because none of them went into that line of code. But this time, we're going to come in here. We're going to get similar tweets, the same tweets. And we want to say, okay, if the previous tweet is this, duplicate found in database, previous tweet has changed. So then we can see what this is. So I'm going to comment that out. Let's try this again. Now, duplicate found in database undefined. We want to sort by the ID -1. Do I want it as just 1? Do I not need to sort it at all? Nope, duplicate found in database undefined. So this right here, the previous tweet has changed is not what we think it is. But if we take a look at what we found, like this one, for instance, there's 3 of them. So this one has changed. This one has changed. And the first one does not. So it got all of these, like it found, but it got it by the first one. It got this one. And I want it to get this last one. Now, is there anything else that I can do? Maybe the best thing to do is just to add in that date after all. To say like the current time, like when I got this. I mean, it's a little bit of a hacky workaround, but I'm having trouble figuring out how to sort this. Well, okay, what if I say just find, and I do sort? Well, and I sort by the ID, which I think is the natural sort order, because it's when it was placed in, isn't it? But I can ensure it. So I can sort by _ID -1. And then maybe we can say previous tweets is this, and const previous tweet equals previous tweets of 0. Aha! Now we have duplicate found in database, true and false. Oh look, some of these have changed. Very few of them, which is probably right for the amount of time it's taken. So what I want to do is come back to our database, drop it again, and rerun this again. So absolutely none of them should be retweets at this time. Okay, so then we're going to run this again. This time we found tweets. Oh, duplicate found in database undefined again. Well, grr. Okay. So that sort didn't work. Or I want this to be the very last one. Well, okay, hold on. Let me try this as just one like that. Okay. Drop you. We're good there. Undefined. So the sorts aren't working. We're even doing a full find. It's just by the ID string, by the tweet ID string. So make sure we find exactly that same type of one, but the sort, it's not sorting it based upon anything that's making sense to me. Now the ID should be the latest time that it goes in. So I'm thinking when I add this in to the database, so where is that? Add tweet to queue, where's our insert? Right here. We try to put it into the database. So the first thing we're gonna do right before then, we're gonna add tweet dot added to database at equals new date. And then we'll insert into there. So now I can pull this out, or maybe just date.now. Okay, so added to database. I realize that I'm doing has changed like this. I should probably just make this has changed to be consistent with the Twitter style that we have. Then, oh, this needs to be has changed as well. Then we can sort this by added to database at -1. Drop our database. Okay, run this in here. We should have an added to database somewhere in here. All right, added to database at, that's Oh, that's interesting. It put that as a floating point number. I guess that's because all JavaScript numbers are floating point numbers. It is interesting to see the added to database at. As because I'm doing these like queries attempts, there's actually going to be some time between them. So, okay. Now we're going to come back to here. We're going to sort based upon this, and hopefully it's going to be in the correct order. Because if we get the most recent tweet, then we'll get this. Tetram34, the welcome to the stream. The Budgie desktop. Yes, this is Budgie Ubuntu. I installed it, sort of like seeing how it is. It's been mostly good for me, but I have like some minor little things like up here. But yeah, it is the Budgie desktop. Okay, let's try it again. I saw a bunch of undefined. Okay, so what if it should be this? I have yet to mess with it. It seems pretty nice. I mainly used it because with I have a 4K display on my notebook and a 4K display on this monitor here, and Budgie desktop allowed things like Slack to zoom in a lot more than standard Ubuntu. All right, let's add this in. I need to drop the database again. I only want 2 things in here. The first one will not have anything, and the second one should have it. Still undefined. Is it because, no, is it going to, it is going to as a number, right? Wait, hold on. This. Yeah, added to database at. Now let's find some of these. ID string. So there's these 2. Here is this ID. They're both, this one has added to database at this time. And this one has added to database at this number. They're not the same number. They're completely different numbers. Type double, but that's fine. This one is the first one, right? It's hard to tell. It's kind of hard to tell which one actually was first. These are all the same until right here. But I can remember like how the IDs with I know that they like embed the timestamps, they embed a few other things in the underscore ID, along with some like a random number to almost guarantee that they'll be unique. But it's just this. I want to make sure that I guarantee the most recent. Because the most recent one, so the first time I do it, well, wait a second. Maybe I'm actually just messing everything up in my brain. The first time I run this, there is no previous tweet. So none of this code will hit. The second time I run it, there's only one tweet in the database. So the previous tweet won't have has changed. It will be undefined. The third time I run this, it should definitely have a has changed because now there's 2 in the database. The third one hasn't been put in yet. So it should get the has changed on the third one, not on the second. So hold on. I may have just been like doing weird dyslexic things with my brain. So this one should have a has changed. Duplicate did not find. So let's go back. I wonder, can I just do the underscore ID again as a -1? And will this entire thing work? Maybe it's been working the entire time and I didn't know what I was looking for because I just sort of messed around in my brain. Okay, so first time, no duplicates. Second time, duplicates but should be undefined. Third time, duplicates but at least a majority of them should be found. Here we go. Duplicates found in database, false, false, false. Okay, that's all I needed to do. That entire thing. Silly, silly, silly me. Also, I'm now curious, can I just do the find one and make this previous tweet? Take this out and not have this. Okay. All right, first time, no duplicates. Second time, duplicates but undefined. Third time, duplicates and defined. Okay, I had this like half an hour ago to 45 minutes ago, didn't even know that I had solved it correctly and wasn't trying it that third time. I was like, for some reason, I thought I was supposed to have it on the second try. Okay, so we now can track if the tweets are changing. Now with all of these, they're all false, but that's because I did it like right away with each other. So the idea is that we now are putting them in and we want to add the tweet to the queue. So if now minus tweet time is less than 3 days, so now is, let's say, like, we'll pretend that it's on the first day in 1970. It's like 1,000 milliseconds into the day. So 1 full second in. And that's right now. Now, earlier in the day, a full second earlier, that would be 0 milliseconds. So that would be the tweet time. So tweet created at, we get this new date. We subtract now, which is 1,000, from 0, and we should get 1,000. 3 days is going to be this huge number. If 1,000 is less than that, we're allowed to then put in. So if this is true, if this is false, then we check, or if the tweet has changed in this time. And I believe that will work. So then we add the tweet to the queue. Okay, now all we're doing here is just adding this to a queue. And my idea here is this will be a good old-fashioned array, and what it's going to do is store all the things we're going to do. We're going to go in and every 2 seconds tell the API, like hit the API with the next thing in the queue, which means that every X seconds or so, we're going to want to insert something else to get in here. So this is our handled tweet. So we have an initial one where as soon as we launch the app, it just goes and does this. But we also want to start up an ongoing process as long as this application is running. Okay, so what does that mean for us? As long as the application is running, we want to handle these tweets. Now, eventually this will like go down to 0 because we're just getting the same tweets over and over again. So we're going to want to every once in a while add in the idea of just getting everything and repeating this. Now I could just have 2 loops, and we'll have a queue that just handles a single, that just puts in like an array of a single tweet in there, which I think might be the best thing to do. And then we'll repeat this one over and over again, like maybe every 5 minutes or so. Okay, so queue. We need a full queue. I could do this as a class, but I actually want to think about not using full classes, but maybe more of a functional programming style, which would be just a standard closure. So I might call this a queue. It's not going to take in a tweet when we create it. So we'll instantiate this later. But we'll have some, well, we can have like, for example, a const, the queue inside of here. I might actually call this tweet queue. Okay, so we have our queue, which is private, and then we're going to want to add things to the queue. So this would probably be tweet queue dot add to the queue. So I believe, do I have access to this in here? I don't necessarily really want it to have this. I don't want to have to bind anything either. Because if I put a function that updates this, so like function add, this takes a tweet, and all this is going to do is say queue dot push the tweet, and we're going to return an object that has add. Where do I want to put this? So I feel that maybe up here we have our const, like the hashtags, we do all this stuff. Now I want the const tweet queue equals tweet queue and just call it as a function. So now we have a new instantiated queue, and we can now add things to it. Now at the end of all of this, we want to see how many things are in this queue. Tweets for each. So maybe at the end of this, we can now just say tweet queue dot length. I can sort of take a, no, I'm just going to do dot length as a function. So that'll be another one here. So function length. And this is just going to return Q.length. So I'm going to convert these to arrow functions in a bit. What I want to do first is just make sure how many actually got in here. So if I run this again, tweet q.length is not a function. That's because I forgot to add it in here. Oh, interesting. Okay. Oh, so we've got a few changed ones, and a few like new ones that have just come in. But one thing I noticed is this did not call. Oh, well, you know what? Hold on. Right here. I should probably console.log the answer to this. That would have been nice. Oh, put it in 0. Oh, so it did this too early. Okay, so I can't do this out here because even though tweet.forEach is async, so it's async in here, I don't know if I can do an await here to make sure we pause. We might be able to. I don't think I've actually tried that before. No, it definitely did not work. I want to see it increasing the count. So I want to put this up here and say, okay, after we do all of these different things, now we can see the length growing by each one. I do find it interesting that it's doing these in these blocks, even with my async await in here. So I think that's telling me that I either am missing an async await somewhere, or it's doing them as it's happening, which is sort of bothering me. Because what we're trying to do here is, okay, for each async before we do the next one. I don't think this is really working. Because I think these are happening not in the right order. I wonder, I could do a really quick test. I can say let index equals 0. And inside of here, we're going to just console.log index plus plus. So that will just increase over time. And we want to see that number. I'm going to remove our q.length so we don't get confused with it. And what we want to do is see with each one another number come up. But I don't think we're going to get that. Yeah, take a look at this. It's doing all of these right away. Then we're going in and doing everything else. So it's not really waiting. So this for each loop is not actually awaiting each one. I don't think I can use a for each loop with async await then, unless there's just something I don't understand about it. Async await for each. If you want to read the file sequence, you cannot use for each. A for of loop will work with await. Okay, so user man, you were mentioning for of. I think that's what we have to do. So for let tweet of tweets then we'll just do all these things. We'll remove that. And then hopefully this should work. So let's find out. Yeah, there we go. Now we're getting these numbers in the correct so we got 0, 1, 2 before we found a duplicate. That makes sense. Okay, so now we don't need you anymore. Then we're going to come in here, add you again, and we should now see this coming up and adding in. This should be at the very end now. Yep, 100 items have made their way into the queue. And a few of these are like new things that have come up into. So that's pretty awesome. So what I want to do is now see, can this work if I say add is really going to be a add is a tweet. Oh wait, no. How does it work? It's add. There's the new function definition thing. I don't have to do colon, I think. It's add takes in tweet. I think I can just do this, right? Add takes in tweet. Which then just takes in the queue dot push the tweet like that. I think that's all I need. And then length is going to be the same thing. And it's the queue dot, this is going to be return. It's not really an arrow function, so I still need the return keyword. Q.length. These can get removed. And this should still work. Perfect. Okay, so I have 100 items in our queue. And so the idea here is we add the items, like we get a huge number of these tweets here. We get 100 of them. We then add them into the, like we go through, process them, do what we need to handle them, do what we need to do, add them into the queue. And then when we're done adding them into the queue, we're gonna wait a little bit of time and then process that queue over and over and over again. And every once in a while, we're gonna run this full big thing again. Now, for each of the items in the queue, when we want to handle that, is we're going to get the latest tweet from it and simply go and get that specific one again and run it through here, which is find out if it's changed, and if it has, then just deal with that. So instead of getting like a full normal array of them, we're just going to get, you know, just go get this one, see if it's changed. So my first idea is every X milliseconds. So we can put this right here. Const get new tweets every equals, so it's going to be 1 second times 60 to make it 1 minute times, let's say, every 15 minutes. We're going to get a full new batch of tweets. Okay, so, and
it is time for my keto alkaline meal prep week. So as we get busy into the
I had a speaker right next door. I don't know what it was. Connected to somebody else. Where was I? Okay, so we're going to get new tweets every this, and we're going to const process tweet queue every equals. I'm just going to say 450 calls for 15 minutes. This is doing a single call to the database. So it's really 449. 449. Can I do the math here? Do I have a calculator? Okay. I have 449 calls per, I want to figure out milliseconds. So if I take 15 minutes, so that's 15, and I multiply by 60, this will give me seconds. So 15 minutes times 60 is now seconds. Multiply this by 1,000 to get milliseconds. So that's 900,000 milliseconds for 15 minutes. I want to divide 449 divided by this. I probably wanted to do the previous way, divided by 449. And that gives me every 2004 milliseconds. And I can, because that last one, 450, will be the last one allowed. So I can basically say every 2005. So 2005, we get 450 calls per 15 minutes. So setting this to 2005 to be safe. All right, so get new tweets every. We can throw this into a function, right? Because this is just going to be twitter.get, search new tweets, and our query, and it's just going to do that entire thing over again. One of those things where I was like, am I going to sneeze or am I not? And I have no idea. And I almost did, and I didn't. Okay, so my other choice is I throw this entire thing into the queue. And if I put this entire thing into a queue, then I can just do every 2000, and it'll be really simple. And then when I hit this, either I do the full query or I do the individual query. And really, it's the query itself that changes, right? Because handled tweets will be just this one thing. So I'm curious about how this is going to work. I'm going to comment you out, and let's do another Twitter here. So twitter.get search tweets. Instead of query, I'm just going to do a manual one right here. Q. This time I want to search for the specific tweet itself. So let's go find what. Okay, so can I find a specific tweet? So not that one. That's followers. That's retweeting, destroying. Okay, so that's the endpoint to hit. Data is the parsed data received from Twitter. But yeah, so parameters. Do they have a link? No, they don't have one. Okay, no, that's the streaming API. Okay, what do I have access to? Let's go to the REST API. Search tweets. So I want to search for a very, very specific tweet here. Okay, so I have Q, which is the tweet itself. Example at this. The geocode, the language. Count. Include entities. The entities node will not be, okay, that's. Can I just simply search for ID and hand it the ID string? Guess there's only one real way to find out. All right, let's just try it. Here's our first one. We're going to grab the ID string, copy its value. So it's Q. Can I search for the ID? Is this. Then I'm going to get the results. I kind of actually want to just copy this. Okay, so results is this status is, we're going to console.log the statuses that we get, and then we'll get the error. Okay, if there is an error. Undefined is what we got out. So this, we didn't get any statuses. Maybe we could just take a look at the data. Query parameters are missing, so that's the problem. Oh, it didn't come in as an error. Interesting. Okay, so what if I do Q for ID equals this? Didn't find any statuses. Max ID was 995336. Nope. So it sort of like made up its own numbers here. How do I get a very... Okay, let's search for you. Since ID. So a fresh URL, since ID this, include entities 1. Max ID string, since ID string. Okay. Ooh, can I just do max ID string, since ID string, and just do that? Okay, so that's... The query is going to be the React.js max ID string. Is that how it is? Yeah. This is going to be... Oh, nope, that's... I want this to be here. And since ID string is going to be this as well. So maybe we can just like force it to be a single one this way. We got, what gave us a count of 15, but did we only get a single one? No, we got a whole bunch. And they're all different ID strings too, so they're not the same. Nine nine five eight 4049. No, that's not even this one. What do I get? It would be nice, like, if they just had, oh, get a single specific. Okay, so standard search operators. So that's hashtags. Oh, so that's list. I wonder if I can do ID colon or ID string colon. And I want to just get one. So if I get one, I can also have the count be 1. Maybe this will work too. Okay, so it did not find that. Can I just do ID? Nope, did not find that one. I could remove these. I didn't even find that one. Now it automatically set this max ID and max ID string. So it was automatically setting these. So max ID string, so the maximum ID, I want to set this as +1 of this. So 7. And the since ID string, maybe 1 less, 5. Look, it did not accept that. Oh, look, since ID string, we're sort of set here. Oh, do I want to set these to max ID, since ID, like that? Nine nine five 8300. No. But now since ID and since ID string are set properly. Oh, interesting. Since ID and since ID string are different numbers. These are the same, max ID and since ID string. Okay, can I just do this without the quotes? Maybe that will help. Nope. Okay, so Twitter API get tweet by ID. Ah, what happened? Get tweet by ID. Okay, so status is show ID. Okay, so status is returns a single tweet specified by the ID parameter. The tweet's author will also be embedded with the tweet. So perfect. This is exactly what I want. So I want ID required, everything else optional. Okay, so what statuses show ID. Okay, statuses show ID. So instead of search tweets, would this be statuses show? This would be ID and then just the number. Hey, we got a tweet. Created this time is the retweet Mother's Day sale. They're putting on this node and other thing. Oh, it's selling online courses. And I want to look at this. Retweet. Zuhike Engineering. No, this is a different one. Oh wait, I had put a +1 or -1, didn't I? Hold on. Let's get a random one like this. So this one, ID string, copy value. This is retweet Daydreamer Tim. Daydreamer Tim. So like that. Nope, that was definitely not it. Okay, so do I want to put this like this? No, I want you. And then do I not need to bring you in at all? And it's just plain old get. Hey, retweet Daydreamer Tim. Interesting front-end tooling survey. 2018. Okay, so I think I have it. I think I've got what I want to do here. And this was by Jason Bourne. And if we take a look at who this was, Jason Bourne. Perfect. So that this is the tweet. So we can now get the specific tweet because we know that we have to get statuses show and then the specific tweet that we want to get. Whereas this one is search tweets, and then we pass it in this specific query of what we want. So I believe that what we can do is when we add this into when we add it to the queue, we can say what type of tweet we want now. And hey, we have the tweet. So if it's just a plain tweet, then we can build this really easily. But if we have like a query that we want to search for, like a full query, then we need to choose which one do we do. And also, what came back here? It was a single object and not an array. I think that's going to be important here. So we're going to do either a Twitter get search tweets, or we're going to get Twitter get statuses show based upon whatever is in the queue. And I think like every couple of minutes or so, we'll add a fuel one of these into the queue. Okay, I'm getting a little bit tired. I've been streaming for a while, I believe. 2 hours, 33 minutes. All right, but I think this has been an excellent sort of go forward so far. I know that I haven't been sharing my code yet, so I want to get these in here. I don't want, you need to get out of there. Okay. There we go. You don't need to be open. Go away. Okay, so app.js, this was the original one. We've decided not to be using this anymore. Package.json, our package.json lock, and the using library is the one that we're actually using right now. So I'm gonna just call this initial upload. And I'm gonna push this on up. I'm going to put into chat the URL of this of the GitHub library. So let's come up here. And I'm also going to be exporting this stream in the raw stream to YouTube, so people can go and watch that. And I'll make sure to put the link to the repo in that description as well. All right, where was I? Twitter vacuum. Okay, so this is going to come into the chat. All right. So with that, I think I'm going to call this an end of a stream. Tomorrow morning, I am going to be continuing my Learning Rust stream right here on Twitch TV. That will be at 7 a.m. Mountain Time. I'm doing that every single weekday, and I am exporting those videos to YouTube as well, so that if you don't want to get up that early, or if you can't be there at that time, you can go watch those videos later. I believe that we're like 8 chapters in or so. I can't actually remember exactly where we were. If you like this channel and you want to get notifications when I go live, please follow me, and that way you'll get those notifications. And with that, I am done for today. I'll be continuing to work on this later. All right, and with that, I'm out of here. Have a great rest of your weekend, and I'll see you tomorrow morning.